welcome to all of you, and welcome to all the other 6 campuses of the University of New Mexico. My name is Susan Cornelius. You can tell I'm an elder. I'm not going to try and hide that. So what the heck do I know about starting up companies? Okay, I'll tell you what I know. 477 companies consulted. 77 I had a major role in starting up. 8 of those were my own. I've been doing it since 2000. I am an angel investor. My particular sweet spot is biopharmaceuticals for pediatric treatment of cancer using different modalities and currently are being used. And that's what I do for a living. I'm not actively investing right now, but I can talk with you in detail about how angels and VCs work. Amongst us, the ones that do the best work are working with VCs. So I may be an angel, but I'm also got some VCs I'm working with. New Mexico is on the cusp of becoming something that we can be very, very proud of. We were recently selected as one of the top 10 companies in the United States to start up a company. We were also rated the other day the 58th worst state in the United States for millennials to live. So people like me are paying it forward. We've done our work, and now it's our turn to give back. I'm a mentor for the I-Corps program for the National Science Foundation grant that we have here at the Innovation Academy and at the STC. And I'm also a mentor for the university program that is the brand new EDA-sponsored program that's on all the different campuses. I go to Los Alamos. All of us are pretty much volunteers. We get an allowance, but we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it because we believe there needs to be a future for New Mexico, and that lies in your hands starting up companies. I will warn you that this is not Business 101. I am not a business major. I am a solid, credentialed geek in physics and engineering, okay? That's what I am. I get really excited when I see a cyclotron like a Tammy and my husband graduated from. And get me talking about heavy ions and accelerators and RF systems and signal, and I go crazy, and you're sitting there going, what the heck? So that's who I am, all right? So I've done this the hard way. I came to the decision to do this the hard way, and I enjoy doing it very, very much. Think about this as a possibility for yourself when you think about whether or not you're ready to become a startup entrepreneur. How many of you love sleeping? Forget it. How many of you love working 24 hours a day? You better start liking it. How many of you, when you finish a project, immediately throw yourself into another one? How many of you play hard? How many of you are children of immigrants? I am. Okay, we do really well at doing this stuff. I don't know why, we just do. How many of you have got an idea that's been bothering you and you want to know whether or not you can do it? Okay, we're going to talk about that today. Am I going to give you everything you need to know in 1 hour? Tell me something, Sarah. Can we do this in an hour? Sarah's one of our entrepreneurs. Can we do it in an hour? Absolutely, cannot do it in an hour. And you'll notice she's already got her daughter, her brand new daughter in training. She's at school. I did that. I got another one just like me. She's a mini-me, and she's in Texas. So this is a lifestyle choice. It is a passion, and it is a commitment. And without it, I will give you rule number 1. We do not invest in anybody unless we really like you. That's the end of the story. We take you out for dinner. We take you to a cabin in the northern part of New Mexico. We live with you for 4 days. We want to know everything about you. And nobody ever believes me until they get into the I-Corps program. And every presenter says the same thing. I don't care about your technology. So we're not going to talk about how to get your technology funded today. We're going to talk about whether or not your idea can even make it in the market, whether anybody wants to buy it. And we're going to show some counterexamples to begin with. So we're going to talk today about what do you want your technology to accomplish, what market do you think it is, and oh, I love your enthusiasm when you tell me that there are about 20 different markets that you go to, and you don't like me very much when I look at you and say, pick 2. Because we got to go talk out to clients and customers and find out if they even want the daggone thing, okay? So we're also going to talk about something that when you're a technologist and you're an innovator is really uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you a true story. One of the students I'm working with right now, who will soon be Dr. Mustafa Pesokan. He's in the physics department, and he's got an incredible idea that has to do with doping fibers for communications. He wrote a letter on LinkedIn. Every time he goes to a conference, every time he goes to a meeting, he gets business cards, and then he links in with them. He must have 5,000 LinkedIn people. He's 27, going on 28 years old, right? He sends out a message on LinkedIn to 100 people that he knows are the CEOs of all these big companies. He does not know them. And he says, I'm doing client interviews. Would you talk to me? They all said yes. So we're going to talk about talking to people. We're going to talk about young people in the world like Charles Kidd, who went and talked with the provost and now has a survey going out to students campus-wide. Okay? And that survey's going to ask him, what'd you do? Would you use it if you had a robot that you could walk across campus with that carried all your heavy stuff? All right. Let's see if this is working. It's not working, guys. What did I use? Oh, it did it. Okay, so we're going to talk about a wee bit of a counterexample. This plane up here is called the XB-70 Valkyrie. I don't know whether you've ever seen pictures of it. It was started flying in the mid-1950s. It was the first plane to break 3.1. Let's put it this way. It was the first plane to ever flew Mach 3.1. It was an incredible product. And those are the comparisons to the other things. It was the only place for passengers was this nose cone up here. These caravels right here switched while it was flying to let it go fast. Its wings drop down from a seam. You can see them. They're down. They're parallel. Okay? Why did it do that? Because it created so much turbulence when it flew that it used the turbulence to fly up to 80,000 feet above sea level. It was a bomber. We built 2 of them. We learned from it. It was designed and put in the air by a North American Rockwell. It was never many more than 2 of them were built because even though the technologies behind it were fantastic, people were scared of it. Literally, it was right after World War II and people were scared of it. And it had a very tragic accident where all but the chief pilot, Al White, was killed. You can see in this picture how that plane is so close. This is not a real picture. It was added. They were trying to give perspective on how big it was. Congress said, why are we spending a couple of $1 million on this plane? Like we're spending $35 billion for each F-35 right now. And why are we spending money on this thing? It's too expensive. Let's take pictures of how it works. What did it have in it? From here to here, 6 GE engines that were the most powerful in the world. They were actually using a brand new space fuel. These wings dropped down. Why? It bounced on the turbulence that it created, and that's how it picked up speed to go up to 80,000 feet at Mach 3.1. That's 3 times the speed of light. It was a fabulous plane, and when it landed, do you know what they had to do every time they flew it? Repaint it, because the paint got skipped off. But out of it came all the technologies and knowledge that we're using right now for our current aircraft, whether they're commercial or otherwise. It was the first thing to be able to triangulate off of satellites. It was so far ahead of its time. It scared people. Millions were put into developing it. And it disappeared. I'm going to use some language, okay? I want you to take a look at this. Startup is any new venture, profit, or not-for-profit. And most people don't realize that startup can be not-for-profit. Product is any new product, service, or idea. By definition, anything you're thinking of right now is disruptive. How many of you think your product already exists in the market? Well, you're guessing maybe. That's a fairly good answer. Because by definition, startups are going after ideas that don't currently exist. Entrepreneurship is about doing, not learning to do. I have a favorite word that I don't like too much. It's called wannapreneur. A wannapreneur is somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur but never gets there. And it's not their fault. Sometimes it's just lack of coaching and opportunity and exposure to how you do this. And that's what the STC and the Innovation Academy are all about. So lean entrepreneur, that's what I am. I have startup companies with CEOs and CFOs and vice presidents of marketing and tons of money, and already developed products that are already being sold in the market. You know, I don't just walk in and rent some office space, set my company up. I walk in going, Okay, kids, we better move real fast to figure out what our product is and whether anybody even wants it, and we better get the money from investors to actually start building it. And we are all working on a wing and a prayer. We are getting paid airtime. That's about it. And that's what a lean entrepreneur does. That doesn't mean that we must have to assume that later on we must follow good business practices. So our role here at the STC and the Innovation Academy is to help you create products people want, to innovate with new ventures, because a lot of you are going to do things differently. You're not going to even manufacture what you've come up yourself. You're going to take it overseas to have somebody else manufacture, or you're going to take it to another city in the United States and do Buy American, okay? And to create products that disrupt markets. That's what we're kind of about. This is a product that disrupted markets. And somebody said to me, "Oh, Susan, you have to stop talking about Apple." And I said, "No, it's just such a good story. See that first ugly little yellow plastic thing over there? That was the first Mac in 1984. If you go on YouTube, you can find Steve Jobs' presentation about it. You really should listen to it, because he's you. He had curly hair, he had a messy suit, and he had programmed it to say, 'Hi, I love Steve Jobs. He's my daddy.' That was the first Apple computers. It weighed a ton. I got one for my daughter, and this CRT right here actually had a processor in it, but it had no software. You had to put a floppy disk in it to get it started and put in another floppy disk that had whatever limited programs they had on it. Over here, 14 years later, they come up with this. It's colorful. What do you think people liked about it? You can see inside. You can see inside. What else? It was a lot lighter, for one thing. The shape. What else? It still had tethered mouse and keyboard, but it was very, very light. You could move it around. It was fast, and it had something nobody else had at the time. It had its own programs, its own language. People loved the graphics that it did. It didn't look like one of those little things that's a box that's going to bite you. They were actually animated graphics that you could do back in those days. So that was 1998. There's value, is what Steve Jobs said. And we're going to learn how he did it, because it's what we teach you, not because he did it. I just realized I was listening to some old videos and he was saying the same thing I was. And I'm going, how come I'm not saying about it? Anyway. So what's your product, your technology? Who cares why? How do you know? Somebody tell me what your product is. Anybody? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to give you a basic bottom line rule. I tell all my classes this. If you put your eyes down or try to hide, it doesn't work like when we were little kids and you went like this. You just don't see you. Okay? All right. Tell me what your product is. It's just a planner. It's a planner. Is it a paper planner? Is it an electronic planner?
It's a paper planner. It's a paper planner. And what it does is it puts metrics on subjective material in people's lives so they can measure their success.
Therefore what?
So you can tell, look at the planner and tell if you've been a good father that week. You can tell if you've been a good husband. You can tell if you've put in the work in other areas outside of just finances.
So it kind of follows that 7 habits of extremely successful people kind of model?
There's definitely some Stephen Covey stuff in there. I've had influence from him. I'm not going to say he hasn't influenced my mindset, but it's not Stephen Covey.
Okay. So therefore what? Hi, Stacy. Therefore what?
Just want you.
Learn something. Oh, I know. Well, come in and have a seat. I'm talking to this gentleman right here about his product. So therefore what? I'm going to keep on asking you, therefore what?
So therefore, an average person can map out their lives, dig into the process of their daily living, and see how successful they are in other areas of their life that aren't normally measured by metrics of life.
Therefore what?
Therefore, it increases the quality of people's lives.
Therefore what?
Therefore, we increase happiness to humanity. I mean,
Isn't this frustrating? And I'm asking all these therefore what? But that's what I'm going to ask you guys to do with your product, okay? Therefore what? If you look online and you take a look at Steve Jobs presenting the first iPhone, you see the most miraculous presentation I have ever seen. It is not that he's up on that big stage and now his hair is really, really short. He looks older and more mature and he got rescued and came back and he saved Apple. That's not what it's all about. What it's about is what he says He tells everybody that he has in his hand an iPhone. That it is a phone, that it is an iPod, it plays music. I went to the University of Illinois, graduate school, and an internet device. He says you're not going to have to carry around devices, okay? You're not going to have a phone, you're not going to have your music iPod, and you're not going to have a computer. It's all here. Everybody was stunned, absolutely stunning. He then says you don't have to have a keyboard. What? No keyboard? You don't realize how revolutionary that was. We were barely used to using untethered keyboards and mouses, and yet this man is saying, you don't need a keyboard. Anybody know what an iPod is? What is it?
Just a portable music player.
Portable music player, about as big as my thumb. You kept it in your pocket, you stuck in your earphones, and you had a little wheel on it that you could move, and then eventually put a little face on it that was probably as big as my thumb, that you could kind of see what it was saying about what song was playing and what music you were playing. This is what he says to everybody. We've already brought multi-touch to the market. We've already brought multi-touch to the market. How many of you go like this? How many have watched your elders that can't figure it out? I mean, you go back and forth, and how many of you watch the kids going like this on your phone trying to get it to work? They brought multi-touch to the market. Samsung wasn't using it. Android wasn't using it. Nobody had it. He had it. Okay? We're going to call it a smartphone. We're going to call it a phone. We're going to call it a smartphone. And we're naming it, and this is the most critical thing he did. And we work with people on this within the I-Corps program. We're going to call it an iPhone. Every time you see an I in front of the name of the device, who do you know has made it? Apple. Do they have a marketing and sales team? Very small one compared to a corporation as big as they are. Guess who does their marketing for them? You do. And that is why we're telling you, you need, even before you have a final product, to get to know your customers and what they want. Okay? Therefore what? He went on to say, we've got software on this thing that's 5 years ahead of its time. It's all ours. We're using OS X, which is the operating system. We can use desktop applications on this. And we're making our own software, and we're making our own iPhones. And all you're going to have to do is sync this device with your apps, with your data. We were used to syncing too, because the iPod did that. The music iPod did that. It downloaded software by calling it syncing. Until that point, nobody used to sync. Sync was when you were just in around, right? It wasn't downloading your phone's information onto your computer or vice versa. And we already have, and listen to this, 1 million users are using iPods. They're going to want our iPhone. Was he right? He was absolutely right. And there's his history. So this is the story. What did you notice about the story that I told? What did it do? Did it talk about, what's the one thing that's missing from the story I just told? How does my technology work? What's my model for doing this? How do you make it work? I didn't pitch you on that. What did I pitch you on when I repeated his speech?
What about demand, visibility?
Demand, visibility, what about you, your role in using it, what it was going to do to your life, your planner? That's why I kept on asking you, therefore what? What's the difference in my life? I come from a really strange field. I say to people, hi, my name is Susan Cornelius. Susan, what do you do for a living? I said, have you ever worried and wondered how to do a startup and whether or not you want me to do one? They go, yeah. I said, well, I help you do it. And they start asking me how, and I go, let's sit down and talk about what your idea is first. Okay? Because I want to put my time into an idea I know I can be behind. Here, I do something totally different. I work with every idea. Don't I, Lisa? All right. So, I'd like you to introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you. And Stacy, you can join the group. So grab somebody, just talk to them for a couple of minutes. Those of you that are listening from Gallup and the other campuses, If there's another person in the room, even if you know them, would you please introduce yourself to them and tell them what your MVP is, your minimal valuable product. They may already know, but it's good to practice because you never know who you're going to run into. You've got precisely 2 minutes to do this. 1, 2, 3, go. I hope all of you at the other campuses are doing this with somebody there in the room.
So, I was
Okay, you should be pretty much ready to say to the other person for a speaker. Are you ready to hear more? Can we talk about this later? Okay, now switch speakers, please. You always read it.
So I actually just got promoted I feel like last week I was intern. So I was under RV, so I did writing up the summaries for products and marketing campaigns. Yeah, do background and then some job descriptions. Yeah, but I'm a biomedical engineering student.
Okay, please stop. Hopefully we've got involvement from everybody else on campus. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Please stop. You're going, oh, that's impossible, 2 minutes. I got news for you. Your first pitch when you're walking around networking is, hi, my name is Susan Cornelius. Nice to meet you, Greg. What do you do for companies?
I license technology.
You license technology, sir. So that's fantastic. Well, guess what I do? I work with companies in that first part of that technology. Now you want to know more, don't you? I don't know. Where do you do that? Okay, somebody, let me ask all of you, and the other campuses, same thing. Were you left wanting to know more? Did you have more questions you wanted to ask of the speaker? Yeah, pretty much. And that's a good introduction. That is why you keep it short. Okay, your marvelous idea, the first time you express it, has to be kept short. Then you'll get to talk to people. All right, the true bottom line of an entrepreneur, I'm not going to read this to you, but the value of what you're thinking of, it's not the value in your dreams or in your mind. It's its value to the market. And that's a hard thing to accept because I don't know about the rest of you, but I have my heroes in business development and marketing and companies and things I've heard on the news. And I read the Wall Street Journal, that's my daily newspaper. So I've got my heroes, all right? But that doesn't mean we've got stuck in our head about how you start up a business. It's anything more than you just do it. How many of you have got smartphones? You know how they work? There's a little chip up there. There's a huge case that just was won by, negotiated a court between Qualcomm and Apple because Apple kind of took some technology they shouldn't have. And it belonged to Qualcomm. Have you ever heard of Qualcomm? A couple of you have. Good. CEO is Dr. Erwin Jacobs, a professor in engineering at the University of California, San Diego. He left to work on the chip in his garage. That's what they did, and they had to answer the question, therefore what? And I tell everybody, I remember my first mobile phone. That big, looked like a military phone. It had a base station it fit into. It was bigger than my briefcase. I had a little antenna I had to pull up. 1992. And oh my gosh, it had no connectivity. Every phone call I ever made on it had to last less than a minute, otherwise it dropped. So it was pretty much good for emergencies. That was about it. So we gave feedback to the market, and what did the market come up with? That phone would not be tolerable right now. And what happened when they gave us tiny flip phones? We said, we can't see the doggone letters. I don't want to push my A button 3 times to get to the C. I can't record my messages, and the messages keep on dropping off. And I keep on losing the doggone thing because I stick it in my back pocket, go into the restroom, come out and look, it's in the toilet. So we gave them lots and lots and lots of feedback, and we came up with that. Customers, in fact, have the control over the destiny of your product. You might as well accept that right now. They've got the control. Okay, so market analysis. How many of you took economics in school? How many of you read the Wall Street Journal and you know the economic stories that are in it? How many of you listen to the news about economics? How many of you are worried about where the world's coming? Okay, let's just say that this conversation is not about that detail. My daughter is an economics major, she's a math major, she's got advanced degrees, and she teaches. She can analyze the living daylights out of the ability of a new zipper, okay? That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about your product. We're talking about what's going to get you the information as to whether or not you're even worthwhile investing in getting the market. Because investors want to know who wants to buy it. How much? What's it going to cost? What's the margin? And have you ever watched Shark Tank? How many of you watch Shark Tank from time to time? When Mark says, Cuban says, I'm out, why do you think he's saying I'm out? He didn't hear enough margin in the product. He's not going to do it. And for those of you that don't think that's real, imagine this. Walking in a parking lot with a young entrepreneur that I'm working with, we run into an old friend of mine. I introduce him to him. I tell him this is what he's working on. And he pitches him for 12 minutes in the parking lot at 116 degrees during the summer in San Diego. And Victor says, he'll come to my office. I got about 900,000. I don't know what to do with it. It happens. Is that rare? Yes. I'm not going to tell you that all the time. But that's how decisions are made. We look at you, ask if we believe you, we ask if you know your market, we ask how you know, and then we start making a decision about how we know. And the max you're ever going to have with any of this is about 12 minutes. Pitch your idea, and then we're going to make a decision, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to say, if we want to get to know you, we want to get to know you. We want to know everything about you. We even do background checks on you. Okay? All right. There is a duality in all of this, and that is that without the idea for the technology, there is no product, there's no market. But without knowing what your clients think about it, your potential customers think about it, there's no technology. Okay? I've got a special storage unit that has devices in it that someday I'm going to give to a museum, each one of which, that and the stock options that I have that I'm glue on the wall. Hopefully somebody's going to want them in a museum about startups. Markets for big innovations are seldom proven. Nobody. Michael Dell, his first computer, he was in competition with me. Bill Gates, Microsoft, they were racing against one another, and nobody thought Michael Dell could launch that computer. Does anybody remember anything about Dell Technologies' first box and what it looked like? Ever seen a Guernsey cow with black and white spots on it? A milk cow? He was doing this on his parents' farm. The reason why I know is he told me. We're having a meeting with MIT Enterprise Farm in San Diego. And he said, see this photograph? And he pulls it up on his phone. And it's an oil painting of a Guernsey cow because his dad was raising Guernsey cows for milk, black and white cows. He said we needed a box right away to ship our first 10 computers that we had hand built. And we liked the design, so we just made the box look like Guernsey cows. Michael Dell, Dell computers. How many of you got a Dell laptop? I do. Yeah. Okay. So the question is, where is the market weak? He was thinking it was weak in terms of a well-priced computer that everybody can afford. You can still buy a Dell computer with simple student package on it for less than $400. Now, it's not going to do what I need or you need, but for a student who's just learning, for people who are in the part of the country where they don't have much technology, that computer is perfect. It doesn't come in a black and white Guernsey box anymore. Where is the market weak? It's not just a question of the market segment you think applies to your product. We have a word we use, it's called pivot. You start off with a product, you think it's going to do X, Y, and Z, and then everybody starts telling you the same thing because you're talking to them and they go, oh, no, but if you did it this way, and you're walking along thinking, I have a good idea. When you let go of that good idea and you change it and you can meet the demands of the market, that's called a pivot. I've got one company I'm working on right now for iCore that is pivoted 3 times in 10 months. That's how fast it happens. Okay? So complete this sentence for me and write on any of the paper you've got in front of you. I'm going to be talking about everything you've got there in a minute. And by the way, for those of you from the other campuses, we're putting it up on Slack, the materials we're using, and you'll be able to get copies of them. So I apologize to you that you don't have them right now, but you'll see them on Slack. You have to, Carol, did they contact you? They contact Cecilia? Okay, if the campuses will contact Cecilia, she'll give them her email, and then everybody can contact her and get the materials. So complete this sentence. If your startup never existed, the world would be worse off because of what? Write down on a piece of paper somewhere. If my startup never existed, the world would be worse off because, just write that down. And brainstorm. Brainstorm means that nothing you write down is wrong. I'm not looking for perfection. Get your perfection gene, throw it away. I always tell that to people because this isn't a perfect process. Okay? So write it down. Write it down. If you're, yeah, you got it? Okay. Write it down. Your product, your service, product and service didn't exist. The world would be worse off because of what? You saying to yourself, this sounds really touchy-feely. I thought we were going to learn how to set up a company. And the answer is, we have to do this. Okay? We have to do this. We have these discussions. 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, we're opening up the UCSD, University of California, San Diego Medical Center, in 48 hours. We are not done. We are not ready. Nothing is installed. We've still got light bulbs in the ORs hanging on supported conduit cable, and the walls aren't finished. And we have to take patients in 30 days. And all of us are just sitting there, men and women alike, crying. We are so tired we can't even feel our lips. But $500 million is relying on us to open up. So we talked about if this didn't exist, what would the world be like? And the answer was a lot poorer for it because of a total hospital system where everyone was brought to the patient instead of schlepping patients down long hallways. It was called a patient-focused care hospital. It was wonderful. The electronic walls, caregivers could go up there and pull up the computer. And it was private rooms, and you didn't have money to have to have money to go in. 75% of our patients were indigent or non-insured. So it was, we knew we had to succeed. We had no choice. And we had these kinds of conversations at 3 o'clock in the morning because, you know, we keep our eyes open. Okay. All right. Let's take a look before we talk about target customer. Who is willing to share what would happen to the world if your product did not exist? Who's willing to share? You can't make a mistake.
The world would be worse off because all of our internet service providers would still be maintaining their pseudo-monopoly.
Okay, I'm going to be curious about that one. If your company did not exist, small business, how would the world be like?
I said because local artists are not be have more accessible and easier platforms to stream and network their music.
So did everybody hear that? He said, I got to repeat for the people who are in the other campuses, you said that there's a monopoly of companies on the market. What you're going to do is going to break that up so people have more choice. You're saying you're going to create a location with a software that helps artists stream live video of their artwork, which is fabulous. Okay, anybody else want to share their idea? Oof.
So my idea is we'll be better off, would be worse off. They couldn't have passive income and heating solutions to create that value as a passive income.
Okay, so he says he's going to show people how to create passive income with his solution. All right. So we still don't know what you're doing. We don't have all the therefore whats, do we? But we've got to, when we're asking and answering the question of therefore what, answer how the world is going to be different, because the people we're talking to interview to find out will they buy our product want to know. Because they think they already have everything they need, okay? So what's your product or service or both? Who are your customers? What are your market segments? Who cares? How do you know? Pick a partner, someone who's not on your team. Interview each other. Find out the answers. As a listener, you are a shark. Ask tough questions. I'm going to do this in the interest of time. I want one person to volunteer to do this with me. Oh, I bet Ari will do it with me. She likes to talk. Who was willing to do this with me? This role play. Not a great big risk. Did you do it with me? I'll ask you a question. So I'm Susan Cornelius, I'm a shark. What's your product?
I don't have a product.
You don't have a product. You're thinking about something. What are you thinking about?
Thinking about doing like having a bike shop at like a mobile one to have it at the trailheads.
Oh, she's thinking about having a mobile bike shop at the trailheads. Interesting idea. Interesting idea. Who are your customers?
The bike riders out on the trail.
Bike riders out on the trail. What are your market segments? Users of bikes? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Users of bikes. Who cares? How do you know?
So who care? All the users, so then if they have like a flat tire on the trail, they don't have to care. They have to basically be done for the day, so then they have to go to the shop.
So you're telling me that you're going to have a real strong signal from your cell phone. They're going to be able to get to you, and you're going to be at the trailhead, and you're going to be able to find them and repair their bike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hang on to that. I want you to write that down. You didn't think you had that in you. I want you to write that down. That's how this stuff comes out of you, is by asking these questions. But the most important question up there in terms of market segments is who cares? Did we miss a market segment? Who cares about being able to repair their bikes? Other than people at trailheads.
Person at home that has a
Person at home who has a bike.
Right.
Okay, so instead of a moving restaurant in a bus that's been converted into a kitchen, maybe it's a moving bus that has all the things to repair bikes. And it plants itself in a community near an elementary school and works on kids' bikes. So there's maybe a market in terms of age that we've missed. Is there another market? Running stores. Okay. Oh, strollers. Yes, strollers break down all the time, don't they? We got a lot of babies in this world. Okay. Is there another market that's missing? So we've got moms, we've got kids, we've got adults who are doing the trails. Any other market segment in this? Lisa?
Wheelchair repair.
Wheelchair repair. Absolutely. What happens to somebody with a disability when their scooter or their wheelchair does not work? They're stuck. And I know that because I have a sister who uses a scooter. That is her lifestyle. She has to do it. She's a Vietnam vet. She was exposed to Agent Orange and her bones don't work. Okay, and so she's in a scooter 24/7. And as a vet, she's used to solving problems right away. And she used to be a CWO, a Chief Warrant Officer. So she's really into solutions right away. And she wants her bike finished. She's in San Diego. Guess how long she has to wait on average if she's stuck somewhere? 4 hours. So we've missed the market. Now, which market you are an expert at and would like to start with, you don't know yet, but you've got to figure out what it's going to cost and how you're going to make money and what your margins are. Margins is a word which is once you pay all your expenses, what's left over that you can pay back to your investors. Okay, that's how I'm using it. All right? And to have money to invest in your next level of product. Okay? Yeah. You're supposed to interrupt.
Are there specific methodologies or places that you go to learn more about a potential target audience? There are resources outside. My scope, I'm dealing with a product that's a pretty large scope. I wouldn't be able to dial in.
Yes, you will. You're going to sit down at a computer and you're going to do the hard work. And you're going to spend a week on it. Because if you spend any longer than that, you're not out there talking to people. You spend about a week sitting at your computer 24/7, asking questions. Google's pretty good at that. Yahoo's pretty good at that. And what is it? DuckDuckGo is pretty good at that too. I like DuckDuckGo. I started using it as a recommendation by one of the professors in the department. And it doesn't keep track of where I'm going, so nobody can see what I'm doing and hit me up on my Apple phone. Okay? So look at DuckDuckGo if you can, DuckDuckGo.com. All right, so you've heard this conversation. Everybody I ask, what are your market segments? They get panicked and they say, I don't know. And the next thing they say is, where's an easy place for me to go? Wait a minute, let's back up a minute. Your technology is disruptive. If there's a single answer out there that you can look up online, you're going to find related information, not all the details in there. Because by definition, what you're doing is disruptive. How can I have data on a disruptive product? I've got to find things that look like it, smell like it, stink like it, and look like it. Now, how do I do that? You have to find your sweet spot. That's where you're headed. And most people look at this and go, oh, Susan, why did you do 3 circles? It looks like a Venn diagram. It doesn't follow. You think you've got an opportunity with your bicycles at the trailhead and with people in wheelchairs. Maybe those are the 2 things you want to do first. And you've got a passion. And it's where they overlap in terms of their needs as customers. That's your sweet spot. That's where you sell. And you're saying to yourself, but I want to have nothing but the best products. I want to have nothing but the best experience. You don't know whether that's the experience they want just yet. Okay? So you look for your sweet spot. You look for a viable market spot. Now, what does viable mean? You can actually do it. Viable means you can actually do it. I take the term minimal viable product and say that's your first product that you can actually do. And I use the word product to describe both surface and product. That's the first thing you can do. Okay? But there's another word that I like using once we get to the point where we're starting to pitch investors, and that is minimum viable, valuable, validated product. It makes sense. It's I'm a geek, M cubed, V cubed, P. What does it stand for? The minimum product that I can get to the market that is viable, I can actually do it. Valuable because, who said they would buy it from me? What do we focus on right now? Customers. I have talked to customers, and I've asked them a bunch of questions, and they've said, I'll buy it from you. When's it going to be available? And validated, meaning you have validated the market, you have validated that it's valuable, and you've got customers who are now saying, I'll buy it from you. Why are you doing this? Don't you just hire salespeople to go out there and sell it? No. By definition, you're disruptive. Everybody in your company that you're going to form is going to be a salesperson. Without that, you can't sell. Okay? I have an allergy to big titles, by the way. You have to research and sit on the computer and figure out how to ask the question. And it's very funny. Somebody will say to me, there's no information out there on my device. Tell me what your device is. And I will take their words, put it in, and Google comes up with something. And DuckDuckGo comes up with something. Okay? It's out there. You just need to ask the questions and don't be scared of finding the answer. Because if you find out everybody else is doing it, it's a great idea, but how is yours different? How are we going to invest in it? Get out and talk to customers. How many times have I said that so far? Maybe 50. I'll work on 100. How about that? Is that good? Okay. There's a guy by the name of Kawasaki who I deeply adore. When Steve Jobs started up Apple, he had a team: Paul Fernandez, Steve Wojcicki, Kawasaki. And Guy is the first one person to admit that he made some real mistakes in working with the original Macintosh company because he was trying to treat it like it was a big company and it wasn't. And he learned the hard way how to do the art of the start. He's got a great book out there. I love it because it's only as wide as my pinky. Okay? And it's a conversation with him. Guy is the father of such things as Google Chrome, okay? The first Apple computers, Alltop, which is a way of publishing your books without having to work with a publishing company. And he was the chief consultant on all the various different data access platforms for Twitter that are also being used for Instagram, Snapchat, you name it. He's amazing, walks around in the snow in flip-flops, Bermuda shorts, and Hawaiian shirts. And the first time I talked to him, he was going down a slope in Vail, and I thought, oh God, if he dies while I'm talking to him, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll be the person who killed Guy Kawasaki. But I learned from him, tell it like it is. Do not give theory. Let people go out there, try and try and try and try until they do it. That is the thing that all these entrepreneurs have in common. It's not about studying theory. So I love what he has to say because he's also very funny. The only thing worse than a paranoid entrepreneur is a paranoid entrepreneur who talks to her dog. How many of you talk to your dog or your kitty cat or your little kids about what's going on in your life? How about your wife? How about your partner? Okay. How many of you talk to your car while you're driving it? Ever talk to Siri? Some of you are laughing. I know you do. We get so frustrated because nobody's listening to us. You don't understand me. Yes, I did. Yes, I do. And all the other mentors that are involved in I-Corps and the university program get it too. We've done this too many times. We've heard it too many times. How many times do you think I've said to somebody, I've talked to somebody who said to me, but it's about my technology. I want to sell my technology. I know the market wants it. What do you think I ask them? What have I been saying? What do I ask them? Who wants it and how do you know? Well, I've talked to a couple of my friends. I only look at them and go, I want 25 to 100 interviews before I'll even touch. And in 10 weeks in I-Corps, you do 25 to 100 interviews. And I told you about the guy. The guy on LinkedIn and sent out letters to everybody he worked with. Amazingly enough, out of the 100 CEOs he contacted, 30 said yes. Can you imagine yourself doing that? You're going to have to, because when you go to the investment banks, when you go to your friends and family and get your initial money, when you go to angel investors, if you talk with other kinds of investors, if you get that far with your technology, when you get that far to VCs, you're going to have an answer to that question. Every time you watch Shark Tank, they demand to know in their 12 minutes, who have you sold to, how many units have you sold, how do you know they like it, what did you do with the feedback, how did you change the product? It's unwritten rules, but there are books that talk about it, and Guy Kawasaki's Art of the Start has it in there. You will have more gain, more freedom, more ability to reach markets if you talk to people to find out what market it is. I told you about the company that this group of I-Corps has pivoted 3 times because they found out they were going after this wrong customer, putting the wrong features into the product. How do you know your product's got the features that it needs? So the power of inquiry to spark breakthrough ideas. Go out and meet customers. How many of you are saying to yourself, I just need to start asking people if they like my idea? How many of you are going to do that? I know you're going to go out and talk to people because you're already doing it. I know you're going to go out and talk to people. I know you're going to go out and talk to people. You have to. You can't sell it if you don't. How many of you are scared of talking to people you don't know and asking them questions? You know why we don't talk to them? We're afraid of looking dumb. I'm not going to tell you a little unknown fact that you will now know. When I was in high school, I was a geek. The class valedictorian. Nobody got the grade for the average that I did. And if anybody was stuck on their math homework, they'd yell across the library, Susan, I'm stuck. Explain it to me. So I used to do mentoring sessions after school with a whole group of my classmates, teaching them how to do their advanced calculus and everything else. And sitting there and thinking to myself, oh God, I can't wait to get out of high school. So you have to go out, though, and you have to talk to people. I talked to those guys because I knew them. They were a very small group of kids. They were all in calculus with me. And then he told me I was going to be the valedictorian. You ever watch somebody do a speedy thing through the door and hightail it out of there? That was me. I wasn't going to talk to anybody. I knew it was going to be about 7,000 people, and there was no way. And he told me I had no choice, and my parents told me I had no choice, and I was practically having an anxiety breakdown. So what did they do? I'm not Greek Orthodox, but there was a Greek Orthodox community that was very big, and one of the priests came and said, I used to be that way. Can you imagine being a priest and not being able to do a sermon? They tell a parable? He said, I'm going to work with you. And so this father with this long gray beard, this round cap on his head, and this giant cross with the long black clothing that he wore, sat down with me for 6 weeks, along with the principal of the school, until I could speak. Once I could speak to them, I walked into a classroom one day, and there was about this many people sitting there. They said, Susan, do your speech. I went. That was like one of those loops, where they just keep on breaking up. And they brought in larger and larger audiences until I could speak in front of people. You are going to be talking to your mirror. You're going to be talking to friends and family. You're going to be interviewing them and saying, am I asking the right questions? Get feedback, and then you're going to go out and do it. And if you don't think we all did that to get started, we did. We all did it. Now, those of you that know yourself, do you have a partner to work with on your company? How many of you got partners? You might want to think about it. One of the things I like about the Art of the Start is there's an actual chapter in there about how to interview somebody, figure out how to be a partner with. And you might want to have somebody, I don't care if it's your significant other, your partner, one of your kids, a real good friend that lives next door. You've got to have somebody to talk to that that you can bounce ideas against, okay? You're going to ask for an informational interview with a potential customer of your product. Hi, this guy Kawasaki, you don't know me, but I'm the chair of the MIT Enterprise Forum in San Diego. I've read all of your books. You have? Yeah. I said, I'm sorry I'm interrupting your day. He says, oh no, I called you. I said, where are you? It sounds like the funny noise in the background. I'm in Vail going down at 5 Diamond. Going down 5 Diamond and you're talking to me on your cell phone. Okay, I hope I'm not liable if you crash into that. Man, I do this all the time. He says, what do you need? I said, I'd like you to come to San Diego for free. I'd like you to speak to MIT Enterprise Forum. He says, what's the date? I told him. He says, you know what? That's the big international software conference for communications in San Diego. I'm already going to be there. He says, I'll do it. I said, what do we need to do for you? He said, nothing. I'm going to have a hotel room. You just need to pick me up at the airport and bring me the back. And he says, by the way, I normally cost $30,000 for 45 minutes. I said to him, oh, cool. I said, how do I remain in contact with you? He says, well, you've got my cell phone number. You call me whenever you need me, and here's my secretary's phone number. And I wrote it down real quickly. He said, I have one more thing to ask you. Will you sell my book? I said, which one? He says, 8. I said, 8. What's it about? He says, it's about writing books. And he says, that's really pretty good. I'd like you to read it. He said, will you promise me that you'll read it? Will you promise me that you'll have it there for sale? I said, yeah, I'd like to get a good price. He says, I'm going to have somebody call you. He says, talk to you soon. Send me an email. Hang up the phone. Phone rings. Pick it up. Hi, this is Susan Cornelius. This is so-and-so, Vice President of Distribution for Amazon. Died. He says, what do you need? I said, I need X number of copies at this price. He says, I'm going to do better than that. Talk with Guy. We're just going to give them to you for the production price and take a 20% discount off of that. I hung up, and I sat there like this. And how in the world did that happen? Because I was brave, because I was scared, because I knew I had to reach an outcome. How many of you are going to ask at least 5 people in the next week what they think of your minimal viable product? How many are going to do it? Okay. Let's see you do it. So you're going to get this turned into a company. All right. Next thing. Who are your potential customers? I've only got 5 more minutes. I'm packing in a lot that we do over a period of time. You have a document that looks like this. And those of you that are in the other campuses, it'll be up on Slack. It's called Customer Discovery and the Customer Relationship. If you'll just go to the back page in it, and there's a box there with questions. And on that box, Sandy and I were talking about this the other day, on that box are 4 quadrants. Those are the quadrants that you use to plan your interviews. Because you write out what you're going to do in your interview. Anybody else need one? Okay. You're going to use that to ask questions. Now, I especially want you to pay attention to box number 1. That's your objectives for your interview. Box number 2, focus on the customer. This is the introduction of a different kind of product than what you're thinking of. But it gives you an example of how short it is. It will take less than 30 seconds to say that. That's what you're saying on the phone. The questions you're asking are in quadrant 3. So take a look at those questions. Who can tell me what question you find the most interesting on there? What question do you find the most interesting on there? Well, yes.
Are there 2 others whom you think would be willing to participate in an interview and learn about what you're doing?
So his answer was, are there 2 others that you think would be interested in being interviewed and would be willing to meet with me? Why are you asking that question at the end of your interview?
I mean, I can potentially ask this question forever and have an unlimited pool of people potentially up until I run through that entire social.
Exactly. How did the student that I'm working with in I-Core get 100 CEOs that are in charge of the biggest fiber optics companies in the world to send them emails and messages on LinkedIn? The reason he collected their business cards at every student conference he went to when they were walking around. And then he asked them for 2 more people to talk to. Do you think they said yes? He's now at about 400 names. He's doing an incredible job. And he just walks around giggling. It's very, very funny. He likes what he's learning. This is how you meet people, but why are you meeting them? What's the goal of this interview? To find out what?
Product is viable.
Oh, I like how he's using the language. If the product is viable, that means you can do it. What else?
Valuable and valid.
Valuable and valid. If it's got features that the customers like, and if they think there's a feature missing. How many of you are aware of the company Lululemon? Oh my gosh. Yesterday I saw a pair of pants that I went home and I bought, Sarah. It is a pair of mid-rise, heavy material, running and walking pants. What are you missing when you wear those things? You got it. It's got a pocket for my cell phone, and I could even put my iPad in that stupid pocket.
What about your keys?
It has a pocket for my keys. I'm not going to take my whole keys. A couple of keys. It has a pocket for my money. I mean, I am literally walking around going, jingle, jangle, jingle, if I'm going to wear those things. And I went and paid the price because they're the most fascinating pair of techie pants I've ever seen in my life. Way too much money and not on sale. Okay? I am a customer that can now say to Lululemon, this is what I like about your pants. That's what you want. Whether it's jewelry, whether it is a streaming service for artists, whether it is a service for bike riders, and maybe even sales, okay? You need to know what they're missing in the experience right now, because the other big differentiation is the word differentiation. You have to say how you're different than the other guys. That's how you're going to go forward. That's why your customers are going to buy from you, okay? So the questions on here are really interesting. Repeat your value prop. We just practiced that. How would you use this? You're saying to the customer. Well, I don't know. I've never seen one yet. Can you draw it out for me? See, maybe you draw it out for them a little bit. Are there any features you'd like to have? And they're going to tell you. How do you make decisions to buy something like I've described? In my case, Lululemon is using all of us that wear Lululemon to sell it. They just have this flat catalog with beautiful pictures of people participating in sports, all ages. They have all sizes. And I saw Sarah's pants, and I had to have them. They rely on that. That's just how it works for them. That's their marketing ploy. They took from the Apple playbook, I think. What barriers to adoption do you think might exist? That's a good one for yours. What kind of permits am I going to need to park my truck on national park land? What other liability insurance am I going to have because I fixed it? Okay? Are there any software applications that you're currently using? So if I got a streaming service that I'm using, I'm asking them, would you sign up for my art streaming service? I would. I love artwork, especially tech artwork. I draw manga in my spare time. Okay, what does it currently cost you in time, money, level of effort, and training to do this? I have to go seek it. It'd be nice if I just had an icon that was streaming. Okay? How would what we're doing change what you're doing? Boy, I'm going to wear those Lululemon pants, and even though I'm a big lady, I'm going to feel pretty good wearing them because they are cool. They're gray, so they're not got prints on them. They're not bright colors. They just got all those doggone pockets, and now I can wear them all day long after I've gone to the gym. If appropriate, ask if they would want service available, data collection, interpretation training, or software that allows them to do the data interpretation. Overall, will you be satisfied with our product? Now can I meet 2 more people that you know? These questions are good across all industries. You will modify them for your product. They don't apply to every product. Any questions? Okay, it is 1 o'clock. What I'd like you to do is to realize that you need to think, and it's in this document I just handed out. It's the very first page, or yeah, I think it's the very first page. He talks about who's your customer. These boxes. This is what are their behaviors. You need to think about the behaviors of the customers you're going to talk to. And that's what Mustafa did. They needed to be CEOs. They needed to be the people who were in charge of bringing in funding. They needed to be able to help him fund this. They needed to be able to partner with him because this stuff was expensive. And they needed to have the backup to say to people, I want you to talk to them. So that's why he went straight for CEOs. Another person I'm working with went straight for the product developers because their product needs to be made part of a bigger product. That's what they've learned by doing the customer service interviews. And by doing that, they'll be able to sell. I want to thank you for your time. Hopefully what's hit the top of your head is you need to get more involved with the Innovation Academy. There's speeches and presentations and gatherings. Last week, AFRL got together. They asked people, they said, here's our technology. Look at it. Go out there and see if you can't get it out to market. And then students pitched ideas they didn't create, that were created by scientists from the Air Force Research Lab. And the top winner got $20,000. Another one got $10,000, and another got $5,000. The top three. Add that one up. Got $40,000 going on that was given out to get these kids and young people and people your age involved in getting these technologies to market. So there's a lot going on. So go to the stc.unm.edu website and look at what's going on. I mean, we got stuff going on every day of the week. Do I work for the STC? I do not work for the STC. I am truly a volunteer that gets gas money, okay? I love what I'm doing because I think this is the place to be seen. They're launching tons of technologies. What was it last year? 147?
In terms of
Patents and stuff?
we had about 65.
65, and the previous year was about 100? 110, and then 147. So this is where the professors and students come to make their technologies available, either for them to launch a company with the help of the STC, or to be advised on how to meet the people that need to launch their company. So look at this stuff. You have to be a student on campus to do it. No, it's for the community, okay? But if you are a student, especially if you live here, you can make up to 12 credits a year. And then if you want to get all the degrees in business, you can go on campus to the Anderson School of Business. There's a lot going on. Most of the people that I work with are engineers and scientists with great ideas. And they want to pick up enough knowledge to get dirty to get a company started. And that's what I'm doing.